Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Snakebite. This is Carl Van Gelder and I am James Simpson. Sports are winding down here at Florida Southern College. It is April and I just can't believe that, but there's still a lot on our plate. Let's get into it in today's episode of the Snakebite.
To start today's show, we would like to honor the life of Trippy Nugent, who sadly passed away on Easter Sunday. Trippy was a big part of Florida Southern athletics over the past few years as teams helped fundraise for his treatment. His family reminds everyone of the light that he brought to all of those around him, and we at FSC TV offer our sincerest condolences to the Nugent family.
And last weekend, the track team made a trip to Embry-Riddle for the Running Elements Classic. Headlining the meet for the Mocs were the 1,500 boys, with Anthony Matthew, Alex Guy, and Bryson Yamnitz going 2, 3, and 4 in the 1,500 meter. Sophomore Caleb Brady followed that up with a time of 15:12 in the 5,000 to secure 8th place overall. But the real highlight of the evening came just before 10 p.m. when the 10K went off. Freshmen Connor Brooks, Jaden Rapp, and Declan Zymek put together some impressive performances, highlighted by Brooks' 32:23. But they weren't the only impressive moccasin performance that night, with rising star sophomore Christopher Colavita towing the line with them. 30 minutes later, Colavita would win his first ever collegiate track race with a time of 30:44, good for the 5th fastest time ever and the fastest time by a moccasin not named Mason Jones, who our loyal fans will remember was an Olympic trials qualifier earlier this year. Day one for the women went similarly, with great performances in the 5K by senior Ellie Fluman. Her 17:56 was good for 4th fastest this season. And hey, how about Rachel Hockenberry dipping below the 19-minute mark for the first time in her career with a time of 18:47. But again, the highlight of the evening would be the 10K, as Emma Moose Musante, Maya Stam, and Cheyenne Young swept the 10K with the 2nd, 3rd, and 5th fastest times in program history. They stopped the clock at 37:02, 06, and 25 respectively. On day 2 of the Running Elements Classic, Matthew and Guy posted the 5th and 6th fastest times in program history in the 800 meter, running 152.98 and 153.11. That makes them the 2nd and 3rd fastest performers behind Evan Quinones, the owner of the 4 fastest times in Mocs history. Representatives from both teams will travel to Cleveland, Tennessee this week for Lee University's Flames Invitational.
And just like the track teams, number 4 women's lacrosse kept rolling this past week, squeaking by a tough number 5 University of Tampa team. Despite the Tampa team being number 5 in the country, the Mocs continued their dominance over the Spartans, who they've now won 13 out of their 17 matchups against. This game, however, the Mocs were faced with a tough task against an improving Tampa team in a game that was all tied up at half. The Mocs were up 3-1 after the first quarter, but because of 4 goals by the Spartans in the second, it was all even at 5. The Mocs then found themselves down after 2 goals in the first 3 minutes for the Spartans. Both teams then traded goals until the Mocs scored 3 quick ones over a 2-minute stretch to close out the third up 9-8. Then the Spartans stepped up as the Mocs were held to just 2, but so was Tampa, allowing the Mocs to escape Tampa with an 11-10 win. They return to action tonight against yet another ranked opponent in number 11 Embry-Riddle here in Lakeland.
And on the men's side, number 14 men's lacrosse has been competitive in what has become a #lacrosse conference, but they just keep finding themselves on the losing end of tight conference matchups. Last Wednesday, they competed in the D2 war on I-4 against the number 3 Tampa Spartans. They entered the 4th quarter down 1, but 3 unanswered goals made the game 12-8 Spartans. Robichaud recorded a hat trick, and Chiz, as usual, was solid at the X, going 14 for 24, but it wouldn't be enough to stop a very good team in the University of Tampa. They returned home to take on the receiving votes Embry-Riddle Eagles in what would be their 2nd heartbreaking overtime loss at home this season. But I've got a lot to say about that game, so here it goes. Carl, first, welcome back Thomas Frank. The graduate student was excellent in his junior season. He led the team with 20 goals scored in 7 games before a season-ending injury benched him for all of 2022 and all of 2023. But he put 4 in the net this weekend and looked great doing so, electrifying the home crowd. If he can stay healthy, he will contribute when championship season comes around. Watch out for him. Second, Nick Shannon is a defensive beast. He led the team with 3 caused turnovers, and he's 9 short of tying the career caused turnovers record. Keep an eye on him too. And third, the Chister. He continues to be great at the X. He went 18 for 21 and led the game in ground balls with 14. Enough said. Color commentator John Kristovich loves to remind us that the beautiful sport of lacrosse is a streaky one, and he's right. Let's get back to the game where the Mocs got outscored by the Eagles 6-1 in the second, talking about streaks, before outscoring the Eagles 7-1 in the third. The fourth was tightly contested with the Eagles playing from behind before finally scoring 3 in 2.5 minutes to tie it all up. As they headed to overtime, the Mocs won the faceoff, but an inopportune turnover deflated the home crowd and led to an Eagles golden goal. The Mocs will move to 1-2 in conference play as they travel to number 20 St. Leo tonight. Now, Carl, listen to the rest of this schedule. It's not a walk in the park. The boys have number 20 St. Leo. They have number 6 St. Rollins. They have receiving votes Florida Tech, and then they close the season out at home against Lynn, who's not a bad team. It's not a walk in the park, smell the Rovers in-conference schedule. That is a meat grinder. And remember, only 6 of the 8 conference teams get selected to the conference tournament. So now as we take a look at the standings here, we can take those up. 1 and 2 will get byes, and then 3 plays 6 and 4 plays 5 in the quarterfinals. You've got an idea of what that'll look like with the standings on your screen right there. It's going to be tight down the stretch, but the good news is that once they're in the tournament, on any given day, any one of these teams can beat each other.
And it's going to be a tough one for them. They're going to have to battle a lot, and someone else who has battled a lot is this beach volleyball team. They've had a tremendous start to the year and have stumbled a little bit as of late. This past weekend, the Mocs beach volleyball team put forth their best effort at the Tampa Invite, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough as they came up short against the opponents, University of Tampa, Palm Beach Atlantic, and St. Leo. The Mocs are now 20-6 on the season and will travel back to Tampa on Saturday for a rematch against the Spartans and their rubber match against Eckerd College as they look to get back on track.
The baseball team continues to struggle, as last week's games against number 7 St. Leo were more to forget. In Thursday's matchup, the Mocs got out to an early lead thanks to a 2 RBI double by Roshan Riley and a home run by Tilden Aggie, but the wheels started to fall off after a 3-run home run by the Lions in the fourth. Your Mocs would drop that one 9-6. The first game of Friday's doubleheader was more of the same, with St. Leo jumping to a 4-run lead in the second, and despite the Mocs' attempts to chip away, the number 7 team in the nation would hold. Your Mocs lost that one 7-3, and in the last game of the series, the Lions would slowly build what ended up being an insurmountable lead as they scored in 7 of the 9 innings against the Mocs. Florida Southern lost that one as well, with the score being 9-3. This tough stretch will be something that the boys will look to learn from, because facing top 10 teams back-to-back is never an easy feat, but it can make you more tough when it comes to later conference play. They'll look to move in the right direction today in their matchup at Florida Tech, which will take place after our production time, and so results can be found at FSCMocs.com.
And softball continues their slide as they've lost their last 8 games, including their last 6 in-conference matchups. Their last 3 games were this past weekend, where they traveled up to St. Leo and scored just 1 run in the first 2 games against the Lions before having the bats start going in the final game of the series, scoring 4, but allowing 6. The closest game out of the 3 was the second, where the final score was 1-3, with senior Mel Rogers returning to the mound, making her long-awaited return. In her 4 innings of play, she allowed 2 hits, 2 runs, and 2 walks to pair with a strikeout. The Mocs return to action against PBA at home in a 3-game series this Friday and Saturday.
The number 8 team in the country, your Florida Southern men's golf, is currently battling in the battle at the Shores at the Normandy Golf Club in Miami Beach. And man, has it been a battle so far between some of the top teams in the SSC. Number 11 St. Leo is in 4th, number 12 Nova Southeastern is in 2nd, and receiving votes Barry University sits atop the standings after one day at 17 under par. You could say they're looking like our own Brian Pereira out on the green as they're dominating right now at home. During our production time, the Mocs sit tied with Rollins at 6th as they're looking to mount a comeback in the second day of the competition after shooting 3 under to start the second day. For final results, be sure to check FSCMocs.com.
The women's golf team has also been busy the last few days. They're ranked number 24 in the country, but have started off the Lady Mocs Classic 2.0 slow. At the start of the second day of the competition, the Mocs sit 13th overall at 39 over par behind some South Region opponents, including number 2 nationally ranked Nova Southeastern, who's tied with number 15 St. Leo in third at 11 over par. Leading the way in this one is number 1 in the country, Dallas Baptist University, at just 3 over par, 7 less than the next closest team in Flagler, who are 10 over par. Among in-conference competition, the Mocs are 6th out of 9 and 8th out of 12 South Region teams. And this one also ends after our production time, so be sure to check out fcmocs.com.
Women's tennis suffered a tough loss in what was a day to forget against the number 1 team in the country, Barry University. The Mocs lost 1-6 for their 3rd in-conference loss in a row, but the lone Moc win was, you guessed it, number 18 𝙏𝙃𝙀 𝙎𝙉𝘼, who continued what has been a stellar season. Florida Southern will look to move on quickly from this one as they take on in-conference opponent Lynn University Saturday, who has more than had their number, as the Mocs have yet to beat them in the 40 matchups the two teams have had.
And men's tennis's hot streak has come to an end, losing a close one against number 14 Embry-Riddle. The 3-4 loss was their first loss since February 26th and their second in-conference loss this year. Their last being against, at the time, number 4 St. Leo on February 7th. The Mocs didn't have their regular success in doubles play, winning just 1 of 3 matches. The lone doubles match win was from the pair of Garros and 𝙏𝙀𝙀. 𝙏𝙀𝙀 was one of 3 Mocs who won in singles action en route to earning SSE Men's Tennis Athlete of the Week. This loss ended an 11-game win streak for the Mocs, where they beat 4 ranked opponents, including 2 top 5 nationally ranked opponents. Their next matchup is against in-conference opponent Lynn University this Saturday. The Mocs will have their senior day, so be sure to show up and watch them show out. And that is it for this week's edition of the Snakebite. Thank you for watching, and make sure to give a hug to your loved ones. Call them and tell them you love them. And here at Florida Southern, we'll always be Team Trippy.